Let some people miss out on you. And I'm saying this for a reason. A while back, I kept betting to fit a circle that didn't fit me. I'd say yes when my chest was screaming no. I'd laugh things off that actually hurt. I told myself that was temporary, that I'm easy to work with, and that was being understanding. But what I had to recognize was that every time I swallowed my own boundary, I trained people to expect me without my edges. I wasn't asking for special treatment, just basic respect. But the quieter I got about my lines, the louder their habits became. And the wild part was that I was the one teaching them how to treat me. Not with words, but by what I allowed. And that realization hit hard. If you're honest, you've done this too. We all have. We slip into roles like peacemaker, reliable one, accommodating friend, loyal teammate, because we want connection, momentum, harmony. We're human. But there's a hidden cost, right? When a piece of entry to a relationship is shrinking yourself, you don't lose just time. You lose self-trust. And here's the part that matters. People learn you by your patterns. And we teach with repetition. If you keep crossing your own line, they'll assume there isn't one. If you keep saying it's fine, they'll believe it is. That's not on them alone. It's on the rules you post and enforce. For example, with friends, it could be you're always a driver, the planner, the one who pays and waits. They show up late, promise to get you next time, and you, being you, wave it off. Like how long before generous becomes invisible? With dating, it could be you keep adjusting to your schedule, your values, your pace to keep the vibe alive. You explain your standards so many times, it stops sounding like a standard. Like you're building something or auditioning for a role you don't want. With your job, it could be you taking the weekend shift, the last minute task, the credit that somehow floats away. You say yes because you're hungry, but are you hungry or being eaten? So ask yourself, is the short-term comfort worth the long-term cost of your self-respect? Because what's really happening is people adjust to whatever you keep allowing. Not because they're evil, but because humans adapt to incentives. If the feedback loop says I can cancel on you and you still show, that loop strengthens, right? If the pattern says I can tease you about something sensitive and you still smile, it strengthens. On your side, scattered rewards, those occasional moments of being seen, keep you hanging in. It's like the slot machine effect. One nice text, one thank you, one promise, and you pull the lever again. Meanwhile, your inner voice gets quieter and your resentment gets louder. That's why the pattern can feel both familiar and exhausting. So let's set the line straight here. Boundaries aren't punishments. They're instructions for healthy access. If you want people to treat you differently, give them a new response and stick to it. Say it plainly and directly. Replace yes with options and choices without apology. Use the consequence, not the lecture, because respect grows when you follow through on your words. Stop over-explaining, because explanations invite negotiation. Protect your energy before you add anyone else. And if it helps, rehearse the line in your head so you build that conviction. Sometimes the best play is letting someone miss their shot at you. Not as payback, but as clarity. You're not closing the door on kindness. You're closing the door on disrespect. Now, I can hear the objections. Maybe you think, but they'll think I'm rude. What if they leave? What if I'm overreacting? Honestly, some people will leave. But that's information. Would you rather keep a connection that only works when you're smaller? Or make room for the ones who meet you at full size? Or you might think, oh, I messed up before, so I owe them. No, I get it. But you can make a sincere apology and change your behavior. And then stop paying with your self-worth. I'm telling you from experience, permanent penance is not a plan. It's a trap. You might even say, what if I set a line and they cross it anyway? Then you don't argue your value. You enforce your boundary. You exit conversation. You end the favorite pipeline. You pass on the project. You go home. That's the moment you say enough, not loud, Not dramatic, just final. So let a few folks miss out on you. Not everyone gets a seat at your table. Because access to you is earned, not owed. So choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's responsible. If the price of entry is your self-respect, that event ain't even worth attending. And this is the part that gets real. Honestly, you are not hard to love. You're just harder to use. And that's a real difference. You don't need to become colder. You need to become clearer. You don't need a speech. You need a standard. Stand your ground and notice what happens. The people who value you will adjust, and the ones who don't will ask for the old you back. That's your sign. And also give yourself grace. We teach people how to treat us, yes, but we also unlearn what we taught, and that takes a minute. When you slip, reset quickly. When you hold, celebrate quietly. So build a streak, and you'll start to feel lighter, steadier, less nervous checking your phone, because you and your word are on the same side again. So whether it's a friend who asks you for money again, or your friend who keeps showing up late to meetups, or when teasing crosses a line, or when work starts to burn you out, or mixed signals in dating, stand your ground. Short, clear, no apology, then follow through. People will learn the new you, but a new pattern you set in place. So ask yourself before you say yes next time. What am I agreeing to exactly? What will it cost the future me? Would I let someone I love take this deal? If the roles were reversed, will they do it for me? Is the outcome worth it if the price is my peace? Ask yourself, is any green light worth running if it costs your brakes later? If this hits, I'm glad you're here. Let a few people miss the chance of you, so that the right people can find the real you. Drop a comment with the boundary you're setting this week. Share this with someone who needs the nudge. And subscribe so we can keep building stronger lines together. Thanks for being you. I'm Justin G. See you in the next one. Peace.